Rural Oregon was crisp and cold when 7-year-old Emma woke up. That bone-deep cold that seeps through windows and makes your breath visible even inside the house. But the cold wasn't what made her stomach twist into knots. It was the silence from her mother's room. The kind of silence that feels wrong, that presses against your ears like water. Emma stood in the doorway, watching her mother's chest rise and fall in shallow, labored movements. Each breath seemed to hurt, seemed to take more effort than the last. Her mother's skin had a grayish tint that hadn't been there last week. Or maybe it had been, and Emma just hadn't wanted to see it. Her mother's eyes fluttered open, caught Emma standing there. She tried to smile, but even that simple gesture seemed to exhaust her. "Morning, baby," she whispered, her voice paper-thin. Emma didn't answer. What could she say? That she was scared? That she'd heard her mother crying in the bathroom last night, heard her on the phone with the pharmacy, begging them to fill her prescription even though she couldn't pay? That Emma had found the eviction notice hidden under the stack of medical bills on the kitchen table? She was 7 years old, but she understood what all of it meant. They were running out of time, running out of money, running out of options. In the corner of Emma's room, curled up in a patch of morning sunlight, was Ranger, the golden retriever puppy her father had brought home 2 weeks before the accident that took his life. "So you'll never be alone," he'd said, scratching behind Ranger's soft ears. "A girl needs a good dog." Ranger had been Emma's everything for the past year, her comfort when nightmares woke her, her companion when loneliness felt too heavy, her reason to smile when nothing else made sense. He'd sleep curled against her every night, his warm body a promise that she was safe, that she was loved, that she mattered. But Ranger was a purebred with papers. Emma had heard her mother on the phone with a breeder last month, asking about values, about what a dog like Ranger might be worth. Her mother had hung up crying, saying she couldn't do it, couldn't take away the one good thing Emma had left. But Emma had heard the number the breeder quoted. $800. Maybe $1,000 to the right buyer. $800 would buy her mother's medication for 2 months. Maybe 3 if they were careful. Maybe long enough for her mother to get better, to get stronger, to fight back against whatever was eating her alive from the inside. Emma made a decision that morning that would bring 150 strangers to her door. She walked to her room and sat down next to Ranger. The puppy immediately woke, tail wagging, tongue lolling out in that goofy smile that always made Emma laugh. She buried her face in his soft fur and breathed in that puppy smell, warm and clean and innocent. "I'm sorry," she whispered into his neck. "I'm so sorry." She found her mother's phone and scrolled through old messages until she found the breeder's number. Her small fingers trembled as she typed, "I want to sell my puppy. Can you help me find a buyer? I need money for my mom's medicine." The response came within minutes. "Oh, honey, is this Emma? I remember your mom calling. Bring him by this afternoon. I know someone who's been looking for a dog just like Ranger." Emma wrote a note in her careful, childish handwriting. "Mama, I went to help. Don't be mad. I love you more than the whole sky. Emma." She drew a small heart at the bottom and placed it on her mother's nightstand. Then she clipped Ranger's leash to his collar and walked out into the cold Oregon morning. If you believe in the power of observation, in trusting your instincts, and in the courage it takes to speak up when something feels wrong, then pause for a moment. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to Bike Diaries. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from today, because this story will remind you that heroes come in all sizes, and sometimes the smallest voices carry the most important messages. The breeder lived 3 miles away. Emma had walked to her house once before with her mother, back when things were better, back when they were just visiting to see Ranger's litter mates. She remembered the way. Down the main road, past the feed store, left at the church with the white steeple, then another mile along the rural route where farms stretched out on both sides. Ranger trotted beside her happily, thinking this was an adventure, thinking they were going to the park, or maybe to see other dogs. He had no idea he was walking toward goodbye. The first mile was easy. Emma counted her steps to keep her mind busy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The rhythm helped, kept her moving forward instead of turning around and running home. The second mile was harder. Her fingers were numb from the cold. She'd forgotten gloves. Hadn't thought about how long she'd be outside, hadn't planned beyond getting Ranger to the breeder and getting money for medicine. Cars passed occasionally. A truck slowed down. The driver, an elderly man with concerned eyes, rolling down his window. "You okay, little one? You need a ride somewhere?" Emma shook her head. "I'm okay. My aunt lives just up the road." The lie tasted bitter, but she couldn't accept help, couldn't risk someone calling her mother or asking too many questions. She had to do this alone. By the third mile, Ranger had stopped trotting happily and started looking up at Emma with confusion. He could sense something was wrong, the way dogs always can. He pressed against her leg as they walked, offering comfort even though he didn't understand why. Emma's eyes burned with tears she wouldn't let fall. Not yet. Not until it was done. The breeder's house appeared around the final bend, a small ranch-style home with a large yard where several dogs played behind a fence. The breeder, a woman named Margaret with kind eyes and weathered hands, was already standing on the porch. She must have been watching for them. "Emma," Margaret said softly, coming down the steps. She knelt in front of the little girl and looked into her eyes. "Does your mother know you're here?" Emma's chin trembled. "She's too sick to stop me. I heard you tell her how much Ranger is worth. I need that money. I need it now." Margaret's face crumpled with sympathy and something else. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. She'd seen desperation before.